important factors of water quality monitoring is it allows for long-term data collection so we can compare against other historic data that has been taken in the Haliburton County region. It provides knowledge capital towards lake associations, municipalities, the County of Haliburton, etc., on looking at how they can best manage human input with water quality conditions to be able to maintain the pristine water quality that we all enjoy and love here in Haliburton. One thing about Haliburton County is we're without both a Conservation Authority and Watershed Council, so it's programs like this that are filling these substantial data gaps, allowing different stakeholders to be informed about the conditions of their water and how they can go about maintaining or improving conditions. The purpose of this video is to inform different viewers, different prospective volunteers on the practices and protocols that we utilize within our program so that they can be mimicking what we're doing here today in the future independently.
Today we're going to be running through a bunch of parameters that we do in our program, such as dissolved oxygen, temperature, pH, conductivity, as well as we'll take some chemical samples and we'll send them to the lab that'll analyze for a lot of the major nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus. We want to monitor the lakes so that we can understand their health and their condition. While there may or may not be anything explicitly wrong with the lakes now, if something were to happen in the future, the data we collect today will be crucial in understanding what a healthy lake looks like.
So when it comes to selecting the sites that we utilize for our program, we're mimicking other program location sites like the Lake Partner Program, MECP Lake Trout, etc., utilizing the deep basin locations of the lake. These locations we're going to have the best understanding as to what the parameter levels are generally across the lake, not being influenced by localized hotspots or shoreline contributions. Next thing we'll look at here will be our Secchi depth measurement. So this quadrated disc will get lowered into the water column until we can no longer see it. We'll take that depth measurement and then we'll slowly raise it back up until we can just see it again. That will be our second determination. We'll take that depth measurement and then the average between these two will represent the peak euphotic zone, so how far the sunlight is penetrating into the water column. That's where we'll take our water sample from. We're doing this opposite the direction of the sun on the watercraft, so that we're looking at how far the light is penetrating into the water versus scattering over the surface of the water.
So this here is our Oakton pH and conductivity meter. Right now it's set to conductivity, so I'll show you how to switch from conductivity to pH, and then the same process can be used to switch back. Start by clicking the menu button, which will open up this menu. We'll press enter to get to the next menu, and then we'll select the measure option, and then we'll use the down arrow to scroll down and then loop back to the top. And then once we've highlighted pH, we can press enter. pH has been selected, and then we can press escape to return to the measurement screen. So in the field, we bring with us 3 sample bottles per site. We've got this one here, the opaque plastic bottle with the green label. Is our routine testing kit. And then we also bring with us 2 amber bottles with pink labels, and these are for nutrients testing, so they test for things like nitrogen and phosphorus. And we have 2 of them here because we'll take a duplicate sample of them.
So this is the water column sampler that we utilize here in our program to grab samples out of the lake. It is a Nalgene bottle in a weighted 4-inch PVC tube. We drop this into the water column, we let it fall at a natural velocity to the depth identified with our Secchi depth reading. We'll let it sit there to decompress, and then we'll raise it back up at the same velocity it naturally fell in, collecting a sample that will then fill our bottles with that get sent to the analysis lab.
It's important that we wear these nitrile gloves just to minimize any contamination that may be present on our hands and making sure that that doesn't make its way into the sample and skew the results that we're going to get. So to collect the sample, we'll pour the water from the collection unit through the filter, and we're going to attempt to fill this bottle right up to about the neck here. These amber bottles are the nutrient bottles, so they test for things like nitrogen and phosphorus. Now they do contain some preservative in the bottle, and so for that reason they do not get rinsed. For that reason as well, it's also very important that they not be overfilled. We take a duplicate phosphorus sample because of redundancy in case something happens to one of them, but also for accuracy's sake. Phosphorus is a very precise measurement and it can go up to 1,000th of a milligram per liter, so we take 2 just to ensure accuracy.
The other thing we're doing here is we're emulating the MECP's level of quality control for sample acquisition, just to ensure that we're receiving reliable results from the lab.
So after we've collected the sample, we will place it into a cooler for transportation.
If the samples are not being sent to the analysis lab in the same day of collection, just ensure that they're put in a refrigerator overnight to be kept at a minimum of 7 degrees Celsius before being shipped.
So next up, what we're going to do is the dissolved oxygen and temperature profile. So we're going to start at the surface and we're going to take a reading every meter down to the determined depth, which in this case is 20 meters. It's 20 meters because the depth that we read when we started was 20.3, and so we round down to the nearest whole meter.
So with all the field sheets that we've utilized, we've completed, we have our data for pH, conductivity, hardness, alkalinity, dissolved oxygen, and temperature profile.
We conduct this same suite of parameters 3 times a year, in the fall, in the winter, as well as in the spring. And the reason for this varied sampling times is to account for the lake turnover. So at different times of the year, different levels of the lake are going to be mixing with each other and then stratifying back out. And by sampling at the 3 different times a year when we do, we account for all of that.
I just want to pay some acknowledgements to the County of Haliburton, who has provided financial support for this program, and also the volunteers from several lake associations that we've been partnering with to accomplish this work. Once again, my name is Frank Faguli, from Jack Scott from ULink, Center for Community-Based Research. Here we've been conducting work on our Testing the Waters program.